Last topic on the table, as if we don't have enough here to talk about. It's called Late Breaking Stories.
Yeah, the high-speed SportsWire. Let's kick it off with Team USA.
Yeah, this is really kind of cool. I want to talk about Emma Hayes, the new coach of the USA women's soccer program, who did a Zoom call this week with the media, talking about Team USA's women. They're going to play a tournament game here at Snapdragon Stadium, and it's called the She Believes Cup. It's a 4-team international exhibition, if you will. They're going to play at Snapdragon. And Emma Hayes, who came to take the Team USA job from Chelsea, she was really fun. She talked about laying a foundation for the women's U.S. Global World Cup team, a foundation of bricks and mortar. That's how she described the players. Boy, she inherits such a really good roster. And when they get this roster together, Trinity Rodman, Mal Swanson, Sophia Smith, Rose Lavelle, and this young phenom, Jadon Shaw, that's really going to be fun to watch. So she was a lot of fun to talk to. By the way, speaking of soccer, English Premier League. You know, everybody's doing separate TV contracts and special events. The EPL says no. The U.S. networks went to the English Premier League and said, John, we'd like you to schedule some of your marquee games and play them here in the States. We want to see Manchester City versus Manchester United. We want to see Arsenal versus Liverpool. Why don't you bring some of your marquee events, play them on American soil? We'll make it a mega TV event. You'll get more television revenue from us. EPL says no. We're not stripping our fans from the right to see Arsenal, Liverpool, or Man City versus Man U. That's kind of interesting. They turned them down in the English Premier League. PGA Golf. We're getting ready. They're coming back here to Torrey Ponds. There are so many stories as the schedule has now launched on the PGA Tour. One, merger talks with the LIV stalled. Absolutely flat, no negotiations at this point. Nobody's come to the table with a unique idea. How do we let the stars who jumped to LIV come back to the PGA? Nobody's got a solution to the 33% drop now in television ratings. There's a lot of arguing going on about pace of play. Do you know at Torrey Pines, we had rounds that went 5 hours and 29 minutes? Way too long. And that's bad for TV. And the guys on the tour are really upset about it. There's a proposal to pick up the pace of the game. And John, if your threesome is playing 5 hours and 29 minutes, we're either going to penalize you maybe $100,000 of your purse, or we're going to penalize you a stroke off your scorecard.
Wow.
There's also talk possibly about putting in a, quote, shot clock on every green.
Interesting.
And your threesome has to get off the fairway onto the green in a certain time frame and make the shot and move on so the next group can move forward. At Torrey Pines, they had just real problems. And then there's problems with scheduling. Golfers are of the opinion we shouldn't be competing against the NFL. Let's rearrange the PGA Tour schedule, start in January and go through September 1st. Stay away from the NFL rather than go head-to-head with the NFL every Sunday. There's been talk about that. Charlie Hoffman, Poway guy, who's won on the Pro Tour, he wrote a letter to all the players this week, mass email, say you guys need to rethink your support of the PGA Tour. And Charlie Hoffman's of the opinion too many guys are cutting back on the number of events they play, which is really unfair to each of the communities that has a PGA stop that you don't go to. He says you guys need to commit to play more stops on this tour to help each of these marketplaces be very successful, instead of taking weeks off so you can go play on Tiger Woods' computerized golf event, which is blowing up in everybody's face. or going abroad to play in a big money thing in Dubai in Saudi Arabia, or playing in these special exhibitions in Vegas. Charlie Hoffman really outspoken saying, we need to support the tour. And that's just not Torrey Pines, which did not have very many of the top 50. It's what used to be the Greater Greensboro Open.
Yeah.
Outside of them, we got the Masters and we got the Grand Slams. But some of these other events now, they're not drawing hardly anybody in the field because these guys are, quote, taking weeks off, and these guys are going to other places to play in these money events. So Charlie Hoffman, very, very vocal about that. And the last topic on the table, this is pretty messy. Now, maybe it's an in-house thing. This whole Fox Sports TV sex scandal, they have now removed their senior vice president. His name is Charlie Dixon. He's been named as a sexual predator by 2 different women at Fox Sports that he sexually harassed and tried to convince to have affairs with him. And this comes on the heels of allegations that Joy Taylor, one of their sports anchors, was sleeping around with everybody, and Skip Bayless, before he exited, was involved in extramarital affairs with Joy Taylor, and that now another host has gone public saying Charlie Dixon's sexual misconduct with her in Los Angeles, and said, we went to human resources at Fox Sports and nobody did anything for 6 years. Real scandal. Charlie Dixon, who's second in command there at Fox, has now been removed. So, John, I just took you all over the place. You want to talk women's soccer, talk about the EPL not wanting you to see Arsenal play Liverpool, talk about Charlie Hoffman's PGA letter, or if you want to touch this hot topic on the table about the sexual misconduct at Fox Sports, the floor is yours.
The floor is mine. Just a couple of quick comments. First of all, I'm not sure if I want to hear like sports TMZ news from Lee Hacksaw Hamilton talking about sexual allegations. I mean, it's obviously tragic and they needed to take care of that, but it's just insane to me that still continues. Couple other comments. The PGA, you talk about the majors. The Torrey Pines, it used to be the Andy Williams Open, now it's the Farmers Open. That has always been sort of like the best or one of the best of the non-majors. Didn't you ever think that?
It was. And now with the LIV situation, PGA Tour came back and said, we're going to increase the purses at 8 other tournaments, aside from the Grand Slams or the Memorial. We're going to increase the purses. We're going to have 8 elite tournaments that we're going to offer $20 million purses. So the guys are drawn to those major events.
Yeah, of course.
Torrey Pines is not one of them. Greater Greensboro Open is not one of them.
That's stupid.
Orlando, Arnold Palmer. What I maintain, I said this a couple of weeks ago, okay, you got 8 tournaments that you're going to put bonus money into, make them a $20 million purse rather than a $9 million. Rotate to all these different stops, come up with a schedule so that Greater Greensboro Open, that's what it used to be called, Greensboro or San Diego, that they get a $20 million purse sometime in a 3-year window, so the guys will come here and participate. But the PGA has not looked at it that way. But Charlie Hoffman's letter to the PGA this week was, you guys need to play a lot more of these tournaments to support all these communities that have made this tour great, not just select where the money tournaments are.
Yeah, the whole sport's just so fragmented right now. Because I never really thought about that the tournaments that exist that are not PGA or LIV, that there's some, one-off thing in Vegas.
Yeah, the challenge junk and all that nobody pays attention to. Nobody watched on TV.
Interesting. It's just a couple other comments on the Premier League thing. What struck me is, we were saying, can we get some of those marquee teams, like you said, Man City, Man U, playing in America, which would be great. But you notice how when the NFL goes to Europe, we always send them the Jacksonville Jaguars. We don't usually send our best to Europe, do we?
No, well, that rotates around. I mean, you do get some good teams. Tom Brady, New England traveled, the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott and those guys have played. But it's an issue where you're trying to expand your signature and plant your flag in other countries. I understand that. But at the end of the day, you can't wreck what you have here to go seek big money, greener pastures there. It's a big, big issue.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, that these players are making. So we'll see how it all shakes out. And I love Emma Hayes. I think she's great. I mean, you could tell she was probably a defensive player back when she played in the day.
She's got a really good team.
Yeah, she's good.
And the Zoom meeting the media did, it was cool. I didn't know what kind of interview she'd be because she's British. But boy, she just boom, hit the floor running and said this, said that, and her language was so colorful. And she's got a really good team. I just went through the laundry list of young veterans. If you're a soccer fan, you scoop up the tickets at Snapdragon Stadium for this tournament game against Japan. It's coming up in February. Scoop those up, get a sneak preview of this team, and obviously Women's World Cup. If they can get all these women healthy, and some of them had injuries playing abroad, they get them all back healthy, that's a hell of a lot of firepower. And she's a really good coach.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's terrific for America, for Emma Hayes, and hopefully the sport keeps blowing up.
Okay, those are topics on the table. I've done my job. We put a lot of topics there for you to discuss. So feel free to pile in right now or message all your friends if they got opinions about Super Bowl Sunday. They got opinions about the NBA trade deadline. You got a comment about what we talked about in baseball, about hockey, or some of these other topics. Just message your people. Tell them Hacksaw's on right now with this podcast. We'd like to have you join us now in Fans Forum.